Two, two, one, one. Oh, I'm on. Morning, everyone. How are we feeling this morning? Who went to the Sky Bar last night? You can buy the same drink for like half the price in town. I think tonight it's time to get out there. It's all gone Christmas out there. I find that a bit kind of weird. So anyway, this morning's session, yesterday, I think when we were talking about the challenges ahead for cinema and the way we need to think about audiences, there were a couple of challenges in there, which is how do we get audiences to engage with the cinema on a regular basis? How do we get them to watch films they don't know they want to watch? How do we build loyalty amongst younger people? How do we deal with pricing? And one of those keys, one of the key processes over the last few years, one of the great trends that we've seen in Europa Cinemas is that the notion of loyalty programs, that idea of the subscription scheme, and it's worked in ways that I think was probably unexpected. So I remember first hearing the word Cineville, and it sounded like it was going to be an interesting idea that who knows where it's going to go. But now in 2024, we've seen an expansion of the scheme and loyalty programs right across Europe. And what we're going to try and get to in this session is to look at how a loyalty program works, what the challenges are for those loyalty programs, and how we can get to a point where anyone can make it work in their country. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring up the speakers who are actually doing these. So we have Samir, who will have in a moment from Cineville, the original Cineville in the Netherlands. And then we're going to look at how the programs have been adapted and worked in Germany, Sweden, and Austria. And I'll introduce you to those panels as they work on. So you're going to get a presentation from each one. If there's specific questions to whoever is on the stage, then please feel free to ask. I'll ask a question just if there's any clarification needed. And at the end, what we'll do is we'll bring all of them up and we'll talk about the future of loyalty programs and how they move forward. Is everyone okay with that program? Excellent. In that case, let me bring up Samir. Good entrance, good entrance.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. We named this presentation Lessons from a Teenager because Cineville in the Netherlands has been around for about 15 years now, which means that we know a lot more than when we were in our child phase. We're actually kind of becoming a teenager right now. It also means that sometimes we feel like we know a little bit more than we actually do. So when taking these lessons, please also keep in mind that we're still unsure about quite some things, and there's still a lot for us also to learn also from all the other subscription models in Europe right now. So for us, an effective model means collaborating with all these smaller independent cinemas together, sharing the qualities and becoming in the process more attractive to existing audiences, but also to new audiences. By working together, we can also divide the money from the subscription model over the cinemas that are all participating in it. And we do so by paying out per visit, basically. So as you can see, this is where we are right now. It took us a couple of years to settle in, but since our start, Cineville in the Netherlands has grown to a model where we have in the Netherlands right now, as of today, 94,000 members. But what I find most interesting in this graph is that you also see the start of the other subscription models that are based around Cineville. So Germany, Belgium, Podium Pass, which is like a Cineville for the actual theater. And if you look closely, you see that they all followed basically exactly the same trajectory in their growth. That means for us, it means that the model works in the Netherlands, but it can also definitely work in other countries. I think our Belgian colleagues are proving that right now. They hit the 10,000 mark in 2.5 years. What I also found interesting here is the seasonal graph. So every summer again, we see all these people leaving, and we're like, oh my God, what's happening? But they always come back again, and that's very good also. And it makes that the second time it happens, it's a little bit less scary. I think that one of the main lessons for us is that collaboration really is key. So here we have a heat map of our subscribers in the Netherlands, and basically you see the model. You see that the model has two mechanisms. It works best in the bigger cities. So these are the cities with a population of about 100,000 people, a significant student population that always works, and multiple cinemas in the same city. There the model works best, especially in Amsterdam, where we have about 35,000 of our members. But as you can also see in the map is that you have all these other places. These are smaller areas, smaller cities also, mostly with just one cinema, but there the model works because the smaller cities together work together as a small region, and there it also works for the theaters over there. So it's two types of models actually in one, and it works differently, but it also works the same, namely getting new people to different cinemas. What we do in our model is we really try to balance out the age groups of our members, and this is a requirement, we think, for a sustainable financial model as well. In this heat map, you see that about a third of our members are below the age group of 30, and 2/3 is above the age group of 40, about. And you need this type of ratio because the people under 40 go on average a little bit less than 2 times a month with their subscription model. And the people over 40 visit about, let's say, 2.7 times a month on average. And if you want to have a healthy price to pay out to the different cinemas, you kind of need both groups, because otherwise the payout would become too low. And if you combine it, you get a financial viable subscription model, I think, that works for everyone. And in the Netherlands right now, that's maybe interesting to say, we're gonna up the payout price to 9.5 euros, or sorry, 9.25 euros, which will be divided between the theater and the distributor. And a ticket price on average is about 12 euros. So that's actually quite a lot, if you ask me. Because we have these two different audiences, we also need different strategies to reach them. And I think here you see a very big difference between the younger audience and the older audience. The younger audience knows us through their friends and through social media. They also need a little bit more encouragement to go to a film that they otherwise wouldn't have gone to. So we have a big content team that does recommendations and writes reviews and has a newsletter to really, let's say, seduce them to go to that one film that they otherwise wouldn't have gone to. Whereas the older audiences, they really love their local cinema. They just want to go a little bit more often. And when they become a member, they basically will stay with you forever because of their loyalty. And there we really use our marketing in the cinema itself. So whereas we target the younger audiences online, the older audiences are usually targeted either through the people who work in the cinema, who tell them a little bit about Cineville, or through print media like posters, flyers, and of course the trailer that we show before a movie starts in the cinema. I think in general, we've learned that setting up a subscription model takes a lot of effort, but there's also help in very different and many places surrounding you. So you have Europa Cinemas, who can always think alongside with you onto how to set up the model. You have us, you can always ask us to think a little bit alongside with you to see whether the model would work and what would be basic requirements for the model to work in your place. And now I think you have all these other subscription models that will also be in this panel today, who are all going through their own process and learning also so much right now on how to set this up in a good and sustainable and effective way. That's it.
Thank you, Samir. Do you want to come and quickly sit down? And we're just going to ask a couple of specific questions of your project. Just quickly before we take all these questions, are the distributors now? 'Cause at the start there was a degree of skepticism from some distributors. Are all distributors now more or less on board with in the Netherlands?
Yeah. So I think in the beginning everyone is a little bit skeptical because the payout price starts at quite a low rate actually. So I just mentioned the €9 as a payout price. When we started it was 4 because you need to make scale in order to become financially viable. So we really ask everyone to invest in Cineville and to give it a chance. And then they see that it works. And I think for distributors mostly, what they like about Cineville is that they can push a film that's a little bit more, how should I say, like exciting, or is something that's a little bit more risky. And because people already have the model, they will definitely also go to that film.
Yeah, which is what I was going to ask you. It's the idea is that you may get the subscription to watch the big film at the start, but is there evidence coming through that actually people are enjoying the being introduced to films they wouldn't normally have gone to?
Yeah, so we did a research, I think around 2020, I'm not sure, somewhere around that time, and what we saw was that people go on average 1.5 more times than they would have, and they we also did a survey, and they all report that they go to films that they otherwise wouldn't have gone to.
And when you're looking at what drives people to take up the scheme, is price the key thing when in your survey, or is that introduction, that kind of deeper engagement with cinema?
I think for most people it is. So it is one of the most key factors, and most of, like, a lot of our marketing also is just the clear message that if you go more than twice to the film, you already got your subscription back, basically. But there are also lots of other reasons for people to actually to take the subscription model. It feels like a community.
Yeah, so it may start with price, but actually, as it goes on, what keeps them there may be something different than just the savings.
Yeah, definitely, because at some point the COVID happened, and what we saw was that people were still keeping their subscription, even though they couldn't go to the movie, and it was purely out of this sense of loyalty to the whole cinema industry. It was crazy to see.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that's great news. If that's because, can I just see if has anyone got any specific questions they'd like to ask? Yep, can we bring a microphone here? And again, as usual, introduction, and if you can quickly stand up so people can see you.
Good morning. My name is Christoph Papusek. I'm from Vienna, and I run a couple of cinemas in Austria and Southeastern Europe. You mentioned some numbers. You said 9.25 is the basis for calculating towards the distributors, and 12 is the average ticket. So that means that there is a positive difference to the actual average ticket which is calculated out of the scheme. So what does it mean in terms of average? What is the monthly subscription, and what does it mean to the monthly subscription? So what is the price you have to pay per month?
So the price you pay per month right now is, it depends on the age. So the younger group pays 850 and the older age group pays 23.5.
Okay, and if 12 is the average ticket, that means, assuming only adults, 2 times per month.
Yeah. Now,
A little bit less, of course, yeah. Okay, that was my question.
Okay.
Very good. I think you answered that very well. Any other questions there? No. Okay, that's great. Just a very, very quick answer, because we're going to move on to Miriam. But when you talk about this division between the older and younger audiences, is that a challenge from a marketing point of view? Because it feels like you may need different approaches for each one of those. You know, maybe.
Definitely, you absolutely need 2 strategies, and I think that for the older age group, you need to work much more closely together with the local cinema, because in the end, we are just a membership card basically. So the local cinema knows their audience, and you need to think of ways to help them spread the message of Cineville, of course. Whereas the younger age group is also that's something that's quite new to the actual cinemas, because, well, to be upfront, they usually don't see that many young people. So we do some more risky online strategies to get the younger audiences, and it's also sometimes we need to translate our intention to the cinemas to show them and let them understand what we're trying to do.
Okay, that's perfect, Samir. I think that leads on very nicely to the next one. So a round of applause for Samir.
Thanks.
And if we can bring Miriam Haas up. And this is, we're going to be talking about Cineville Germany. And I think what we were trying to establish in that first one is some of the challenges from the Netherlands, and look at how that adapts and changes as we move to other countries. So Miriam.
Hi. Hello, can you hear me? Perfect. I'm very excited to be here and to share a very practical hands-on account of our recent launch of Cineville in Germany. Maybe to start you off with a few key facts. We launched in August of this year in 5 German cities and 30 cinemas. Prior to the launch, we also kicked off a pre-sale alongside a fresh website, social media channels, and newsletter. This really gave us the chance to connect with our potential subscribers early on and let them know what we're all about, which is, of course, great marketing-wise. As a quick aside, maybe the first one of many, from that moment on, the clock was ticking. So you have to know exactly what you're selling, what you want to, how the process is going to look like, because any changes, that always will go back to the customer, and you of course don't want that. As for pricing and conditions, Cineville Germany offers free and unlimited entry to all participating cinemas, all screenings too, with very few exceptions. And it will cost you anything from 22 euros a month if you're under the age of 25, 24 euros at the age of over 26, and with a very non-scary minimum contract period of 4 months. We also started out with a special offer for a long-time commitment to incentivize this. If you pay it upfront, 240 euros, which is 20 euros a month. Sorry, math is hard. It will give you a Cineville subscription for 1 year. As for numbers, we're currently at well over 2,000 subscriptions, with projections to reach 3,000 by the end of the year and 5,000 early 2025. We have just as of last week expanded to now 50 cinemas across 10 German cities, and there's more lined up for the next year. So going back to our main pillars of what is needed to actually make this subscription system work, and also where you grow community from, that's of course the customers and the cinemas. And I would like to share a few very practical considerations and key elements that need to be in place for this to work. So the customers, it's really all about communication and service, I would say. And I would strongly recommend having customer service in place right from the get-go, as well, will benefit you immensely. This might feel a bit like stating the obvious, but this is really what we've learned, because this is your first point of contact with people where you can really describe your service, hype them up about the cinemas too. And yeah, thereby building relationships, personal relationships, and then you will also in turn create a loyal subscriber base. But especially in the beginning, this is also a place of early learnings. Is there a broken link somewhere? Is there information that is confusing? You for sure know that they will tell you about it. And you have to thank them for it. Appreciate them, because this is going to set out your work, and you can improve really quickly once you know what's not working well yet. Yeah, but put on top of that just the daily grind of subscription managing, lost cards, changing payment methods. You really have your work cut out for you, so I really recommend this is something to be set in place early on. As for the cinemas, I'd actually like to apply the same service mindset, which is what I'm really operating in, because there's quite a few things that are expected from them to make it work. And they've put their trust in us and the project. So the last thing we want is to leave them alone in this, or with anything. Especially, and this has really been the biggest challenge, which is why I want to mention it here, is really providing a functioning technical setup for the whole thing to work, so that customers can smoothly get their tickets and then be registered in our systems so payouts can happen. So while the Cineville subscription management system is working extremely well, and it makes it really easy for me to just go to the cinema with my card, have it validated in our system and get a ticket in return, it becomes a lot more complex once you consider online booking, which is a must, at least in Germany. In our cinemas, people are really, really wanting to save and reserve their seats. It's really, really essential. So, but when you open that can of worms, there's of course the question of POS system integrations. We have 4 different ones across our participating cinemas. Some of them have their own online booking system. Some work with third-party providers. Thankfully, we've been cooperating with Kinoheld, a third-party provider from the start, which means we have 70% more or less of our cinemas connected to our system, so they can actually make online bookings possible. But there's still 30% missing, and this has been an ongoing work. So yeah, while I can say we have done it, we have launched Cineville, we're not done at all, and this will just keep challenging us to really find a solution for each and every cinema.
Thank you, Miriam. Again, some really cool, it's a very useful point there when you're talking about how we were talking yesterday, I think, about the same thing, which is audience expectations. There is no patience there, is there? They expect instant service and it to be high quality, which sounds like a challenge. Question: do you have the same demographic when you know the curve? Is that the same for you? What's different from you and what you learned from the Netherlands?
It's interesting because, well, it's still early days, so I mean, a lot of it is anecdotal, but if we really look at the numbers, we're already seeing a similar age distribution, like the same curve, like the one that Samir just presented, which is really interesting. I mean, yeah, it's low numbers still, and now you, of course, see exactly what's happening. You have, take the city of Freiburg, where now all the pensioners, they really love this subscription. They basically live in the cinema now. But there's actually more subscribers that are between the ages of 25 and, let's say, 35, 40. They go a bit less frequently, but yeah, but they're very eager to buy the subscription and to try it out. And if it works, they will tell other people about it. So yeah, we've already have the same curve.
That's good, but the scale that we were talking about earlier on with the Netherlands, Samir was saying that was very important to get distributors on board and to get that system in place. Is that something which is a problem at the moment, or are most people on board?
Yes, most people are on board. I mean, I feel a bit bad about having left distributors out because they're, of course, the third important vital pillar in this, and we're very happy to have their support. Because we have, as Samir said, we're also starting with a lower payout price for the beginning. It's now at €6. And so, yeah, we're very grateful that everybody's putting their trust in us and agreeing to make the system work and yeah, see where it takes us.
Yeah, and you've set yourself quite ambitious targets there. That looks quite impressive to go from 2,000 to 5,000 in a few months. Is that because of the new cinemas on board, or is there a strategy to get there?
A little bit of both. Of course, now we have new cities, new cinemas, so we will find new audiences there. But also, it's I mean, we started out in summer, in the heat of summer, so there was not much happening. But then once fall came around, it really picked up. And now, of course, we have Christmas, and we're selling so many gift vouchers too. So that's why we're really expecting a pickup in numbers.
Christmas come early in Vilnius, hasn't it? Is it possible to have too much Christmas? Yes, I think it probably is. Is anyone got any questions? Yep, one in the middle there. It could be. When you put it to your mouth, it will probably... No? Is that mic not working? Yeah, you're on.
Great. Hi, I'm Stefan Malesic from Netherlands, from Amsterdam. I have two short questions. One is you said that you have a discount for a whole year. Is it the same for both paying groups, or do you also have different discount rates? That was one question. And the other one is you have a 4-month minimum subscription. And if I remember correctly from Cineville in Netherlands, there's no minimum subscription duration. So why did you decide to do that? The 4 months.
Thank you.
So I think the first question was whether there's a difference in price for the yearly.
Yeah, is there a discount for younger?
For young and older?
It's the same. It's the same for all age groups. The discount, the yearly discount. And as for minimum contract period, I do believe actually that's the same in the Netherlands. I just thought I didn't want it to be too long, because I feel with all the subscriptions that you can choose in all areas of your life and contracts, we didn't want it to feel too daunting, like something you're just stuck with if you don't like it. And which of course will pose a challenge regarding the seasons, because then something could happen that if your subscription runs out right before summer, you might pause it and wait to come back. But I feel just to offer something that, yeah, people are not intimidated by, that's really worth it.
And I think it's worth pointing out, I think it's very clear from your presentation, people are used to subscriptions. We're all subscribing all of the time for different things. And I think it's key that your subscription model is at least as good as everything else you subscribe to. And that feels to me like a challenge to your staff and the way that you work.
Of course, this is like, I mean, we do have to make sure everyone is on board with what we do, with what we try to achieve, what we set out to achieve, so everyone can communicate this effectively to the customers, to the cinemas, to the distributors. So we really, are all in the same boat about this.
Yeah, so I think we can see a kind of quite smooth transition here in lots of ways. The Netherlands model has worked well for you, and I think a lot of the lessons that they learned, it seems like you've picked up and run with, which I guess is good. So, Miriam, round of applause, I think.
Thank you.
And we'll bring up Katrina Mattsson to talk about Cineville Sweden. Long walk.
No, but I want to take the steps. I'm not going to climb. So how does this work?
I think you should be
Okay.
on.
So I think we have so much to learn, and I'm really happy to hear, especially from Germany, because you're so new, and we are even newer. Actually, we're not even, haven't even started. This is going to be like a crash course in 8 minutes about how to set up your Cineville in your country if you are thinking about it. So in Sweden, this is a slightly exaggerated image of what we started out with. Everybody was very worried. Sweden has fallen far behind Europe, all of Europe, I think, or most of Europe, in getting the audience back to the cinemas after the pandemic. I'm not sure it was so great even before the pandemic, but now it's really bad. So, but I think what got us going, because we have been aware of Cineville for many years, but not really thought it would be possible in Sweden. But then I think what set it off was that actually a group of cinema owners from 2 organizations in Sweden, Folkets Bio and Folkets Hus, made a study trip to Amsterdam and met with all the cinemas there and Cineville. And I think that after that trip, it was like, let's do it. So, when we had made our decision, of course, we had to find the money, and here Collaborate to Innovate was, of course, the base of everything, but we also needed additional funding, and we got that from the Swedish Film Institute, and we have quickly realized now that it's not going to be enough. We're going to need a boost in the beginning, and we are in discussion with them about getting more funding from the Film Institute, because it's nervous in the beginning, and we are very nervous. And well, actually, and they told us when we were there, they were expecting us to ask for more money in the first place, which means that maybe we were idiots. But now I think that we can interpret it, they want to give us money. So this is what we're working on now and have been doing. Is it already 5 minutes?
No, it's counting backwards.
Okay, that's making me also very nervous. So for several months, we have now, since we started out in August, we've been working on the thing that we have discovered is that you can't do one thing at a time, you have to do everything at the same time. You have to get the cinemas on board, you have to get the distributors on board, you have to figure out your forecasts and the payout and talk to everybody at the same time, which is what we are doing now, and it's still, it's sort of slowly coming together, but time is also a matter here, and we don't have very much time to get going, which, but this is what we have been doing from the beginning and what we're doing now. But we can always lean on experience, and this is the strength of the whole project. That first of all, we have a very, very close collaboration with Cineville in the Netherlands and Samir. And then, but then we also have all of you. I mean, now that I hear you from Germany, I think I'm going to call you. Because even when we started making our first application, we could call our friends in Belgium and we can get advice from everybody. And I think that that's the whole strength of the project, is that everything is already in place. And also when we talk to distributors and cinemas, we can always say, call your friends in these other countries, and then they are reassured that it is actually working. Okay, so give me 80 hours to talk about this. The challenges are, of course, first of all, I think we have spent a lot of time working on the payout. How low can you go to get everybody to join? And this, of course, is, I mean, we talk to people and they're very positive. We want to see the numbers. So, I mean, we have spent a lot of time trying to figure out and make forecasts that are credible and that we can work with. And still, there's a lot of skepticism, actually. And I don't know, even if we can show all of these really great graphs then that everybody else has, people are skeptical to something new. I don't know if this is a Swedish thing, but I mean, yeah, it's something new. And also for the cinemas to introduce something new, they have to learn how to use it. As you were also saying, I think that's one really big challenge, to get it to work in the cinemas, to get everybody to understand how it works practically and how much effort you have to get in your local cinema to get everybody to work, to make it work. So I think that at the moment, it's sort of, some things are going really well and some things are very, very uncertain still. And our time scheme is that we started out in August and we're planning to launch in March next year, or the end of March. But still, we don't have very much time, and there's a Christmas, very long Christmas, as we know. So this is also something to consider. Now, who is this good-looking person with a good smile? This is our project manager, and I want to say that the first thing that we did was scout around for somebody who could master all of the necessary skills to put the project together. I think that this was so essential, and we really couldn't live without him, because I mean, there's so many components in this. just setting up the organization. What kind of an organization do we want? How do we integrate the ticket systems? How do we set up the website? I mean, it's from high and low, and there's so many, and we have been a very tightly knit team of 3 people, which I think has been really good. But you really have to have somebody who can master all of these components. And so I think that if you are considering going with Cineville, get yourself a Joachim Larsson person, because I think has been essential to the project for us. So this is the plan for us. I can see it here. I think we will land in 16 cinemas. We're hoping for more, but I think it'll be 16. It'll be spread out in 5 cities in 3 different parts of Sweden, the 3 larger cities, but down in the south, it's sort of spread out to more cities. And we are planning as exactly the same model, I think, as Germany, that we will have a pre-launch in January and also sell annual subscriptions at a lower price, and then really start out in April, which is not so good because April, I mean, it's probably the end of the season, but turning weakness into strength. I think that maybe it'll also be a good thing because then we have some time to just recognize all the problems and try to solve them, because I think we are going to make a second launch in the end of August next year so that more cinemas can join. So this is the end. So sorry, no, this is not the end. I'm sorry, I'm just a relic from the 70s. That's why I have this. But I just want to say that I think it's important to recognize that what we're building here is a community of film lovers, and it's not only on a national level, but it's also on an international level. And for us working in the project now, it's been really empowering to have that feeling. And I also think it's kind of a beautiful thing. That's my...
Ah. What a lovely way to finish. Some questions first from me. How important has it been and how useful is it having early adopters to actually take those ideas and lessons from? And are you in contact with the other Cineville people?
We haven't really been in contact with Germany because they had just started out when we were sort of beginning. We have contact with Belgium, but of course our biggest contact is with Cineville and Samir and his team, and we're working very closely with them. And we're also building up or going to build up a marketing campaign that Cineville Netherlands is hoping to also be able to export to others. Is there an echo? No? No? Okay. So I think that just collaboration on every level is what it's all about.
Because it is, I think what you came across, and it's really important that it does come across, is it's quite a scary jump. It's not an easy thing, but at the same time, when someone has developed that model, there are lessons that means you're not really hanging from the cliff always. So that fear factor is something you need to get over, I guess.
Well, I don't think you ever get really over it. I mean, if you're working with cinema and art house cinema, it's always a factor. But of course, it's so reassuring to be able to lean on everybody else's experience and just say, how did you do this and how did you do that? And also, I think that when we are trying to convince people to join, like distributors and cinemas, then of course we can show the very quick development in Belgium, for example, is such a good thing to just say they started out with 5 and now they're this many and all of that. So I think that that takes away some of the fear.
And what's the best winning argument when you're talking to the Swedish Film Institute or to other cinemas? What's the thing that they look at as the skeptics and think, okay, I get what the value is?
Well, I think that really that it's been around for some time, that it's not new, that it's not something that we came up with by ourselves. It's something that's been tried and proven successful in so many other countries. I think that's one really important basic argument.
Is there an issue? I mean, there is something that's specific to Sweden, which is you have a very dominant cinema chain, and that is that a problem, or is that something that you've been able to work with?
Well, it is a problem, of course, and maybe a part of the explanation why everything is going so badly in Sweden, but which they wouldn't agree with. But sort of they are agreeing with it, because even the big chain has a few art house cinemas, and we are trying to get them to join, and they are really interested. So that says something about first of all, about the situation in Sweden, which is so. I mean, one major studio distributor said, "We can't afford to say no to anything now. We have to try everything that can move us forward."
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting thing, is that actually maybe the winning argument is something has to happen, and this is something, which I guess is an interesting one. Has anyone got any specific questions on the Swedish model? Yeah, at the front here, if we can wait 1 second for a microphone, which is on its way. It's coming to your left.
Hi, I'm Matthias. I'm also one of the founders of Cineville in Germany, and I would like to add something about the scariness. Actually, we started 2 years ago in Paris with where we teamed up and started it, and actually things got very scary in the 2 years because, well, we applied for grants and we got the grants from Europa Cinema, and we were very happy, but things actually got scarier and scarier because we knew that we would have to start now and really spend the money. But the scariness went away as soon as we launched and we saw the people in the cinema showing their Cineville card and just understanding how it works. So that's very rewarding, I think. And within these, I don't know, 4 months, now in our cinema, we are close to 10% of people coming with a Cineville pass. And that's really great. And they are bringing their friends, and it just works. And everybody in the audience just understands how it works. So that's really great. And we are extremely happy with these results. And
yeah, so word of mouth is actually quite. Is that a Cineville sweatshirt?
Oh, it's a badge.
Oh, I thought this was a great thing if everyone's wearing their Cineville sweatshirts. Look, I'm just giving away these business tips for nothing here. I also thought someone putting a picture up of your tech is dangerous. Some other countries are just going to come in and steal the guy. But that is a really big point, which is the word of mouth and the actual physical seeing it is a big part. I think we're hearing then of how the thing develops. Is that what I mean, hopefully that is what you're going to be doing too, but is that visibility, how do you get that visibility across?
Well, that of course is the scary thing now, is how to make people aware of it and also to start subscribing. And our plan now is just to have a pre-launch at the big National Film Festival in Gothenburg, where a lot of the film industry and a lot of the audience, they are there, and if they're not there, they're also online, and all of Film Sweden really follows this festival. So I think that will be the start of our awareness campaign. But then we will also have, during that period, a possibility to buy the annual subscription at a very good discount, just to get everything going. And then of course we are depending on the cinemas having a good visibility, providing them with marketing material that they can easily use. I mean, a lot of people work in the cinema, and it changes, and you really have to serve. I think we feel that we have to serve the cinemas with material that they can easily use to inform the audience that this is existing and to start.
Yeah, it's a real partnership, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that needs to be understood. So are you bringing out the sweatshirt before the festival or afterwards? Are we going to take another question?
Hi, Victoria from Vienna, from Stadtkino. We introduced the model last year in Vienna, and I also only wanted to stress that it's almost like a little group inside Europa Cinemas now. I think it's a very big thing to support each other. We learned so much from Belgium, and we learned so much from the Netherlands. It was very important to have all the insights and to really work together on that. And I had a thought yesterday with the panel where we had Julian, I think, from from the Netherlands, from Filmhallen, I think, right? He was saying that it's something that they do is to look at what the big tech companies do and then kind of think about how you can use that for yourself. And in a way, like breaking it down, that's also what Cineville did in a way. And in this way, COVID kind of helped because 2020 everybody had a subscription for Netflix or whatever, and so everybody was used to a subscription, and you just had to find a way to kind of translate it to the cinema. So I just wanted to support that. I think it's important to work together on that, and it sounds really amazing how you're doing it in Sweden.
I think this it's great. It's great to hear that. It is worth anyone in this room who's thinking about doing this. I mean, people who are doing Cineville are incredible advocates for Cineville. I mean, it's something which is working. So if you are skeptical or thinking about it, it is worth grabbing people in this room and looking at it. And second thing, just before you take a final comment, is collaborate to innovate has been really important. That's Europa Cinemas, I think, has created something quite amazing as an opportunity here. And it is part of collaborate to innovate that if you can adapt existing things to your own conditions, that can still qualify as an innovative project. So if you are thinking about this as for your territories, I think do think about collaborate to innovate as an option. It's there, it's available, and I think it's proving successful. Just quickly, just as your final thing, then collaborate to innovate. How did that process work for you, and how important was collaborate to innovate to your approach?
Well, of course, it was key. If we hadn't had that, we wouldn't. It was what made it possible from the start, of course. So, and I think that when we started writing our application, I also want to say that we had help from our other colleagues in other countries, and I think that that's the whole point. I mean, it's in the system, you collaborate. And so I think that, and I heard that maybe they're considering hiring the amount that you can get. I heard a rumor about this, which made me kind of upset because we were, but also very happy. But I think that this is of course, and the more that you can get from working together and not starting from the start and learning from each other, then it will be much easier for everybody to get going with the project.
Yeah, I'd just add one other thing. That's perfect. Just as another free advert for Europa Cinemas, which to me is doing amazing work integrating all of these things together. But the boot camp approach, that kind of localized skills thing. I mean, where there are issues of I don't know how to do this, there is now a scheme for that as well. So there are lots of opportunities, I think, for Europa Cinemas to actually give support for these kind of schemes. So listen, Katrina, that was a fantastic introduction to Sweden.
Thank you.
And we already had a little bit of a sneak preview of Austria, but Anna Hadvig, if you want to take the long walk. Talk amongst yourselves while we do. Oh, that was really impressive. You didn't do the whole thing.
Yeah. So welcome everyone. As we have heard a lot of what it takes to set up a subscription model itself, I'm here today to tell you what it took us as a cinema to establish the subscription model in our cinema, which is the Kids Royal Kino in Graz. In Austria, we have the non-stop Kino Abo, which is based on this model of Cineville, and it was launched last year in March of 2023. And there were 18 cinemas across Austria, and we were one of the cinemas which were part from the very beginning. And yeah, we were the only one in our city, in Graz, or in the region of Styria. So yeah, I'm going to tell you what it took us or what we had to prepare in order to be ready for the launch of Non-Stop Kino Abo. And spoiler, it was quite easy for us, actually. So yeah, There were 3 key steps that we had to take care of. It was at first, of course, the equipment. We had to make sure that we have the technical facilities it needed. Then, of course, spread the words, especially in our cinema, the main audience is an older one, so yeah, we had to tell them that there is such a thing as a subscription model coming to our cinema. And last but not least, was to train our staff and tell them, instruct them, and make them ready for the launch of the model. So let's start with the equipment. Yeah, we had to buy a scanner, which is quite easy, and then we plugged it to our computer. And then my colleague drilled a hole into our box office. So we had to hide the cable and stuff. So yeah, back. The second thing was to implement the model into our ticketing software. Luckily, we had very good technical support from Nonstop, so they advised us, and we just had to set up like a category, ticket category. So we have the regular price, we have discount tickets, and now we have the Nonstop category as well. And then for the means of payment, now we can also choose either cash, voucher, card, or Nonstop Kino Abo. Yeah, that was that. The next thing was to get people's attention and make them aware that such a thing is coming to our cinema. And maybe some of you may remember these graphics from Paris 2 years ago, where these, I'd say, rather few drawings and the logo were introduced, which became quite a trademark for the Nonstop Kino Abo. So for our cinema, it was a lot of printed media. We had those posters, we had flyers, which are kind of a collector series. So it was nice to observe people. They never took only one flyer, they took all 4 of them. So it was, yeah. Then we've had a trailer for every screening, or still have a Nonstop trailer before every screening. And to also get the younger audience on board, Nonstop did a very nice thing, I think, which was they introduced every single cinema at Instagram. So they did an Instagram series where they introduced every single cinema, and their team asked them questions like, what was your first movie ever in a cinema? Why do you like working at a cinema? And so people really, yeah, got an idea of the cinemas itself. Yeah, then we, 3 minutes, we trained our staff, of course. So we wrote some tutorials at first. We had some printed out fake membership cards for them in order to practice the scanning and how to scan the passports in the interface. And yeah, and then we just had to establish a routine, but this was when the subscription model was already in real life launched. Yeah, you can see our cinema, we are very fond of lists. Actually, we have around 20 employees in our cinema. Most of them are students who are marginally or part-time employed, so in order that everyone had the chance to be prepared for the launch of Cineville Nonstop Kino Abo. We took care of those lists, and these are just, I think you don't have to read or cannot read it, but it says like, what do you do at the start of your shift? What do you do at the end of a shift? How do you take care of at the end of the shift when you count your cash, and how do you do that? How do you handle a cancellation of a ticket and stuff like that? And which was very good, the Nonstop people provided us with an FAQ, where every possible situation that may occur was like taken care of. So what shall we do if someone has lost their card, or if someone, I don't know, is upset because the film is not available with non-sub kino. So there was a solution for every single problem. And we had those lists for the first few weeks of the launch, after the launch, and it worked out quite fine, and there were no real challenges and problems, I have to say. So every one of our colleagues made it very well. The audience was quite nice and understood how it works. So, yeah.
That's great.
The end.
Thank you. Come and have a sit down. That's a very positive kind of outcome at the end of that. And how long did it take before it felt like this was definitely going to happen? There must have been a point where you were worried.
We were never worried, actually, but I would say it was like 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe. So for these stuff taken care of. Beforehand, there was things like, I don't know, which was in the back office for, what do you say, Verträge, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was already.
This was already taken care of, and this is just.
Yeah. The thing I think is really interesting that from your last slide, I think, is in order to understand and to see this as manageable, you've made a lot of steps to integrate this into your day-to-day work. So it's not something added on; it's something which is part of the overall process.
Yeah.
That it seems like you tried to make that part of the culture of your business. That seemed essential to the approach you've taken.
Yeah, we're, as I said, very fond of lists, and we're like equip our staff with all the information, and also that if they are worried or if they're not sure how do I take this, do this, so that they have a chance to look it up, have the list, so they're not nervous.
And how were they generally enthusiastic? Or
yeah,
I mean, I know in Austria being enthusiastic about spreadsheets is always a good thing, but does it feel like for your staff, there must have been some people thinking, oh no, this looks like extra work?
No, everyone was excited, actually.
Everyone?
From the staff, yeah, I think so, because we're like, I don't have to handle cash, I just have to scan a pass. Easy.
I'm sure Hans in the IT department was complaining behind your back. I'm fairly sure about that. There's a question here, if we can.
Thank you. I just wanted to add, because I think that's important just to understand, Victoria from Austria again, that we are not working with the full integration of Cineville at the moment. That means that it's a parallel system, technically. So the subscribers, they come with their card, they can't use non-stop Kino Abo as a payment beforehand. So they have to reserve a ticket and they have to scan it and pick up their ticket at the cash desk, which we were worried about in the beginning, if that might be too much work for the cinemas, and it turns out that it's not, but we're still developing it together with Cineville now to get to this point, to have a full integration into the ticketing systems.
Yeah, so I think from what you're both saying, from Anna, culturally integrating it so it's part of the way that you work is step one, but the technical integration may still take some work afterwards. But it sounds like there are models that you can follow here. You're not doing this in the dark.
No, not at all.
Which must be helpful in going forward. Just quickly, because I've asked you all, is that demographic model the same that you're finding as well? Is that that you've got the kind of 20s, some 30-somethings, and then the older ones?
I would agree to that.
What happens? I'm dying to know what happens between 30 and
kids, family.
Kids, yeah, bloody kids. Actually, when I think about it, they ruin my life as well. Yeah, no, you're right. Kids. Yes, so there we go. What I'm going to do, if that's okay, Anna, is I'm going to bring the others back up, and we're going to have a broader chat, if that's okay. Thank you, Anna. Come on, you can go faster than that. All of you. Who's going to win? It's going to be the Bel. Oh, the Dutch. And the Germans bringing up the rear. That's really sad. You there? Right, are we all sitting down?
I have to put this on?
No.
I wanted to talk first, and maybe we can start with you, Samir, about the ceilings, because what we're talking about, what we've done, I think, in this session already is to talk about the challenges, how you have gone about practically putting these in place. But in order for, I think, for some of the people in the room to be thinking about, you know, whether it's worth doing, I think you need to have some sense of looking forward, where your ceilings are, where your projections are for Cineville, your ambitions. So maybe you could give us a sense of how far it could expand and what those areas of expansion might be.
Well, I think that this is one of the things that I'm also very interested to learn, because every time when we project a ceiling, I think in the Netherlands, at some point we said, okay, so it's going to be 10,000 max. And then we said it's going to be 40,000 max. And right now we're still at a growth rate of about 20% per year in the last 2 years. So we haven't really hit the ceiling, which is a nice thing, but it's also a little bit scary because we don't know where it is.
Is there a point where the success of the scheme actually has a negative impact on the other parts of your business, or is it all gain when you're doing this?
I think that for us, there's a very big upside. What you do see is an increased responsibility of Cineville to the cinemas. So in the Netherlands, there are cinemas that sometimes receive 60 to 70% of their revenue from Cineville, which is a lot. So that's something that feels a little bit heavy for me, and also makes it we really want to do the work very well, because people are also relying on us. I think that one of the issues that could develop over time is the shifting of the age groups.
Yeah.
Because at some point, if you get too many people of the older age group, your payout's gonna decrease, which is why you need to keep investing in the. You always need to keep investing in the younger ages, basically.
Yeah, and I think that's an important message for this, is that you know, when you see that big curve for younger people and you look at how you're doing, that feels to me like a really necessary investment in that generation. I think what you're saying is that's the long term that you're taking care of, but actually in the short term, that the already loyal customers that you're discounting, maybe that's where the problem, if there is one, might be, that you're getting discounts from people who were paying full tickets before.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also, I think that if you're a very isolated cinema in a very isolated region, then taking on a model like ours brings a risk of cannibalizing your own audience, basically.
Yeah, I want to ask about that. I'm going to ask the others about their projects as well. But just while you're doing that, while you raise the subject, you look at the big cities, and it's, you know, you can see how it works in Amsterdam. You can see how that might work, but those smaller cities, are they? It looks like they're rising. I mean, is that something where you feel like there could be a breakthrough and it could become as big a thing in Amsterdam in those smaller cities, or is it always going to be less?
I think they're going to become more important for Cineville, because in the end, that's where the new growth will be. That's something I really believe in. But yeah, in the end, it's also a demographic issue, of course. You know, there are 800,000 people in Amsterdam. That's a lot of that's a lot of people if you're a country of 16 million. So,
but does the economics, does it work everywhere? I mean, that's what we're saying. Yeah. Okay.
I think it does. And if I was on a plane with some persons from the smaller regions, and they're also very happy because they also see an increase of Cinevillers and of visits in the city. And now I have the microphone. I just wanted to say that I'm always very impressed by Austria, and by the way, how they manage to reach the younger audience through their online strategies. That's really amazing.
Yeah, we'll come to that. Let me just first ask the others. Do you is it the same as the Netherlands, where you're not projecting that far ahead, where you're looking at how big it might be, Miriam? I think you can probably hear through your Britneys actually.
We? I don't know. Hello. No.
Maybe not. Let's use the mic.
So Germany is huge, right?
Is that true?
So scaling up, I mean, it seems like it could go endlessly, but I feel at this point, and especially after our latest expansion, we really need to take a step back and see how it develops, and actually, what you said before, the cultural integration, the technical integration, make sure everything is there, and it will actually start working in those cinemas, in those cities. So we can do marketing, so we can, because we can't just throw it at everyone who's interested and then leave them alone with it. So that's why, we want to do it in very carefully planned increments to really keep on top of things.
Is there, because I think when people are looking in the room who perhaps haven't done this yet and are thinking, are we going to do this? The return on investment is obviously going to be quite high up there. So there'll be a minimum number of subscription or of subscribers, presumably, before you hit that model. Are you working on plateaus? So we're going to hit the minimum and then we're going to move on to the next thing? Because it feels from what Cineville Netherlands have found is that your bottom line is going to keep going up.
Yeah, for sure. But even more than looking at the actual total numbers of subscribers, it's more important to look at how the subscription is used. If you only reach, I mean, even if you grow your numbers, but if you only reach heavy users, that's not going to work out in the long run. So you really want to branch out and find new audiences. So there's a balance there, which Samir talked about in his presentation.
Yeah, that seems to me like a really key issue, is that if you, which I think was being made on getting the over 60s, I mean, the positive thing seems to be that the younger audiences, which are less, they're the ones you want to capture. That feels where this is making its biggest impact.
Yes, agreed. I believe so, yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's ask Austria. I'm just going to get the same question nailed. Did you have specific objectives for that you have in mind? Have you got numbers in your head, or that you're spreading, or are you seeing how long it, you're doing it as it go along?
Yeah, but I'm not the one for numbers. Maybe we can ask Victoria in the audience. You think she has all the numbers? Because I'm just.
Tell us the numbers, Victoria.
Thanks a lot.
We'll have it in euros and then dollars, please.
Thank you. I got the numbers from Martin, who's our managing director of Nonstop, yesterday. So yes, I have the very actual numbers. So we are at 7,250 members at the moment. What we did, we had a very intense and very good start. So we did a pre-sale of 1 week last year in March. And we reached in 1 week 1,200 subscribers. We did a very intense campaign on Instagram, and also we had a very broad press reaction. So all press was really like jumping on the topic, and so we were really everywhere. It was amazing. So we kind of managed to have this feeling of everybody's waiting for it to happen now. So and because I think you were saying that in the Netherlands all the distributors are on board, we have the problem that Universal is not on board, and that was the time when Tar and The Fabelmans were released. So it was scary for us if that would work anyways, but we were communicating it very openly from the very beginning, and still people reacted very, very positively. And from the demographics, it's almost the same as in the Netherlands, but the second part is not that big yet. So we have a very big focus on very young people. The biggest group of subscribers is 24, so very young.
It's pretty good news, isn't it, to get that many in that demographic group?
Absolutely, and because of the city situation, yes, we have 85% of subscribers in Vienna. We have 12 cinemas in Vienna, and so that's of course something that is very urban, and yeah, there is a difference.
Just quick, are you ahead of your targets? And is there a very Austrian graph somewhere in the office that's got a kind of big arrow somewhere?
The graph is as expected. I'm really happy about that. We also have the summer situation. We had the summer situation this year more than last year. With the, I think it decreased to 100 subscribers or so, but we're back at that. We regained those subscribers, and we are really very much in our plan. So we want to reach, or we have to reach 10,000 subscribers to not be dependent on any outside money anymore. Yeah. So, and we hope to reach that goal in March next year.
And when did you launch?
Last 2023 in March.
So you will have done it in. That's pretty big, an impressive kind of scale there, I think. Okay, thanks Anna for sticking.
Thank you,
Victoria. Just is there other? I'll come to you, Katrina. Maybe have you got a little graph somewhere, or is it a bit too early for that?
No, we don't. But I think that the young people are not finding the art house cinemas at all in Sweden. So, and our predicted graph, I think, will be more like we call it a normal camel, and not with two humps, because we have, I mean, the 50-year-old woman that we were speaking about yesterday, that is our core audience, and I think that they will be the first adopters to this. But I mean, if we can get 24-year-olds to get this, then somebody should give us a prize, because I mean, the situation is really, I mean, young people are not, really not finding the art house cinemas.
No, the normal camel is the elephant in the room. I think we know that. With the, I think it's quite. I think you're making a really important point there, which I want. When you're looking at the ambitions for this, there is the economic reality that you want to reach a certain level, but it is actually critical here that if you can show that this scheme actually encourages a greater diversity of films, it brings younger people into that cinema culture. You know, when you're looking at the objectives and you're looking at how you judge success, it feels to me that beyond the economics, that cultural achievement would be enormous.
Of course, I mean, it has to, of course we want people in the cinemas, but we also want people to see a diversity of films, which is also, I think, I don't know if this is specific for Sweden, but at the moment, if there's one art house film that works, I mean, there will be one. And then next to it, there will be another one that is just as good or even better that nobody sees. So I think that one of our great goals here is to get people to see more titles and to find more films.
I mean, I presume this is for all of you. The monitoring, the data that you collect on this is actually a really important part of this. It's every bit of every time there's a transaction in this thing, you're actually recording it in some way, giving you really valuable information for the rest of your work. That must be really key to this process. I want to ask you if I can bring go back to Samir just for a second. I think one of the things that's coming across over the last 2 days is that we need to learn from other businesses, from other industries, and they're all doing this kind of stuff. But when you are a subscriber, quite often your expectations as a customer is that there's going to be extras added on. And I wonder if beyond just the free, you know, the fact that some of those films are there entries to events? Are there other benefits? I know in the UK, for example, Curzon has an online element as well. I just wondered if you're expanding that offer is part of your thinking.
Yeah, definitely. So I think one of the things we're working on right now, and also are investing a lot of our time in, is our online presence and our apps basically. And what we try to do with our online platforms is we really try to share and inspire, to share information and inspire people about the new films that are coming out. So with in-depth interviews, with analysis of types of film. This is something that we see that really works. What we also try to do is, and this is something that we do in collaboration with the cinemas and with the distributors, and it's called Cineville Special, where we basically put out an event for Cinevillers, and they can bring an extra person also to come there, and usually they visit a specific film. So recently we did Kneecap, and through the Cineville special event, people could get, let's say, either a pint of Guinness, or they did a crash course on the language of the film, or they did like a quiz or something like that.
No, you had me at the Guinness, actually. I think we could have just stopped there. But it's a win-win thing, which I mean, it's always the thing with Cineville when you're looking at it. The win-win is you've also got a direct marketing tool for the work that you're doing, that your people are subscribing, but actually you can talk to them. So they may come to your event, but they're giving you data, information, and becoming part of your marketing in that. That seems like a really important development.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's also something that we use for the cinema. So if a cinema in a specific region is doing something, they sometimes ask us to share it with the members in that area, and that's also something that we sometimes do for them.
Oh, that's great. And we heard, Anna, we heard that Austria, apparently the online approach is something that's very important to your work.
Yeah, so Nonstop does a very good job in doing the social media thingy, and yeah, they do extra special Nonstop member screenings as well. Unfortunately, we didn't have one in Graz yet, but in Vienna, where more cinemas taking part, so they have either especially screening, or they saw something like the Halloween. It was like a, how do you say, a scavenger's hunt, where they had a pass, or they had to, how many scary movies can you see at one night and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was attracting the younger people quite well.
But you know, thinking about this again, and maybe Miriam, we could bring you in here. That it feels like you're the initial investment, I think, is what scares people, isn't it? It's that initial, I've got to invest time, I've got to change the culture of my business. I'm covered in ink for some reason. I don't know where that's from. But the returns on investment, there are a lot of extras in there that are good, and that seems to me to include this kind of marketing approach. It's actually quite an efficient way of marketing if you can get that number of subscribers. It's you know, when you're looking at your return on investment, is that something you think about?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I'm totally in awe of what Cineville Netherlands and Nonstop Kino have been doing in regards to this kind of marketing events. This is definitely something on our agenda too. We're very spread out, so we kind of need to streamline it, or maybe have a chat with every single city or cinemas in one city to see what we could actually set up for them. But yes, we definitely want to reap those rewards too, because I think that can be just very great for all participants. But
there's I mean, again, it's a great thing. There's some flexibility in there. You can adapt and change those things as you go on. It can be Guinness, it can be whiskey, but whatever it is, you have that. The more subscribers you have, the more those offers are going to be attractive potentially to some of the people who might want to sponsor that. I just wonder if some, like, you know, when we talk about Universal, maybe not, you know, where you have a distributor issue. It seems like the distributor issue goes away when you've got a certain number of subscribers, but I guess that takes time. Maybe Universal's a bit different in Austria.
We will see if it takes.
Maybe it's just Victoria they don't like.
No, I think there are still ongoing like discussions with Universal in order to trying to get them on board as well, but they don't want it at this time, so we will see. But it's yeah, there are a lot of other distributors who have great movies, so I think it's not a big deal for people if they decide to get in the subscription model or not. If there's just one distributor who's not on board, I think it's.
Yeah, no, I think it just goes back to what we were talking about earlier on, the audience expectations. Audiences are a pain, and I know because in my spare time I am an audience as well, and you expect everything, don't you? And all of you, I think, during this session have given a very strong impression that, in fact, this is kind of rounding it up, unless there's another question. Oh, there is another question just here. This will be the last one, and then we'll have a quick roundup, and then we'll go and get some coffee, I think.
Thank you. It's Christoph again from Austria. I have a question from a theatrical point of view. What is the structure, and this goes to the whole panel, of participating theaters? I give you an example of one of our theaters, which is a member in Europa Cinema. It's Village Cinemas in Vienna, a 10-screen cinema. Until yesterday, we had 272,000 tickets sold this year. The European share was 36%, and the non-national European share, talking in Europa Cinema numbers, is close to 28%. So there is a volume of about 90,000 tickets in the eligible area of movies in our Europa Cinema scheme. Are theaters taking part in this dimension of 10 halls, in this variety of movies? We released about 420 movies this year, different movies in this theater. Is there a cinema taking part in any of your countries in this dimension, and would it work?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So I think I'll use the Dutch example as an example, but I can imagine that it works similar. That it works similar in the other countries as well. So my organization is Cineville BV, which means Cineville Company, and we work together with Vereniging Cineville. And a vereniging is like, it's the unified structure of all the participating cinemas. And in the end, they are the owner of Cineville in the Netherlands, and they are the ones who decide on the payout price, who decide on the strategy. And we collaborate together, of course, and we try to advise each other on the things that we need from each other. But in the end, it's the unified structure of the cinemas that decides on the most important things. And I think part of unifying means that every cinema has an equal vote. So at the representation level, all the cinemas are equal, but there becomes, of course, a difference in the payout of the cinemas, because the bigger cinemas or the cinemas that sell more tickets, they in the end will receive more money from Cineville, because we pay out per visit.
Okay. Does anyone have anything they want to add to that? Okay, then let's just summarize, if we can. Then the Cineville, I think what we're hearing, first of all, the positives of this are enormous. And actually, I think what we're hearing from the Netherlands is that some of the stuff that you find are benefits actually almost a surprise. You know, it's like you started off with something that feels like will sell more tickets, and then you discover that you've actually got a different relationship, particularly with a younger audience, and potentially that gives the answer to the question about how do we get people to watch things they don't necessarily know they want. You incentivize them effectively by saying, you know, you'll have the ticket for this, but if you want to make it worthwhile, you know, try something different. That feels to me like a really important benefit. I think the way that you talk about what starts off as a challenge of online marketing is also a mechanism for collecting data and actually having some kind of direct relationship and discussion that you can have with your audience. It allows you to sell in a different kind of way. So all those are benefits that I think are clear, and it seems like all of you have bought into that kind of notion of the potential. I think the other positive message that's coming through is the speed at which this moves from skepticism to actually acceptance is pretty quick. I mean, if you look at the other things that you're investing in, it's there, and it should theoretically get easier because, first of all, you have early adopters that you can speak to, and someone's already, you know, you're incentivizing the tech people that, you know, they know what they're doing now. You can get the right people because you understand. You're building on foundations now, not from scratch. That feels like it's very strong. The challenges, I think, are there in terms of You do have to overcome some initial skepticism from what you're saying, from distributors, from potentially people within your own organization. But the answer for the distributors and for others seems to be numbers. If you've got those big numbers, people are going to want to have a piece of that. What I thought came really well from actually all of you, but I thought Miriam and Anna put this really well, is you create the culture around this. If you create a culture around the subscription and you integrate the culture within your own organization, it can become second nature. And that feels to me where the economies of scale come in, because people then get, it stops being an add-on that's tons of work. It starts becoming something which is part of your day-to-day. You know, clearly there are still challenges ahead, but you know, all of you made the same point, that actually Europa Cinemas can play a big role in moving this forward. And it has things in place in Collaborate to Innovate, and the boot camps and the workshops, and indeed this conference. So if we're going to leave this session, I would say you've got a great opportunity to grab the people who are actually doing this on a day-to-day basis. If you're thinking, I'm not sure, but I'd like to find out more, this is what this conference is all about. Buy them a coffee. Well, you don't even have to buy them a coffee. Get them to the front of the queue with the coffee, and that will give them your place in the lift. I wonder how much of time at conferences we spend waiting for lifts. But other than that, thanks to everyone on this panel. I thought it was really enlightening.
Thank you.
And enjoy your coffee.